Secret to getting fast track results in the gym. So if you want to avoid making the mistakes that I made in the first few years I was lifting, in this video I'm going to be breaking down some simple tweaks you can make to your training to fast track results and get ahead of 90% of people in the gym. I started training at uni when I was around 19 or 20 and I made some beginner gains, but then as I came out of uni and started going out to work in the real world, around 21, 22, I started taking my training more seriously, and this is when I was getting into the point of training 6 days a week in the gym, hammering that side of the equation. However, I'd compare myself to these guys in similar age to me that had way more muscle and had much more of a built physique, and I was frustrated with this because I felt like I deserved a lot more from the effort I was putting in. But the problem was I was making one key mistake, and this is a mistake that holds so many people back. Remember, building muscle comes down to pushing yourself close to failure on all of the working sets that you're doing, so not leaving more than 1 to 2 reps in the tank on a hard working set. Now, progressive overload means increasing the reps and then the weight over time. So if you're doing 3 sets of 10 on 8 kilos, you then need to go to 10 kilos or 12 kilo dumbbells, or add more reps per set over time. And this is how you force your body to adapt to grow bigger muscles. The problem with not taking care of yourself outside the gym is it sabotages number 2 of the building muscle equation, which is progressive overload. So if you cannot get back in the gym and recover properly, the weight starts stalling, and then you will not be building muscle if you can't continue to progress the weights over time. What can you do to mitigate this? The first port of call is sleep, and it's not very sexy advice. I'm going to break into some simple tips now that you might not want to hear, and I know it's tempting to look for shortcuts online and look for other solutions to this, supplements. None of this is going to do anything if you're not nailing the basics over time. First thing to think about is getting a consistent sleep-wake cycle. Can you get to bed on time? Can you stop scrolling TikTok at night when you're in bed? Can you read a book or listen to something and find a way of relaxing before bed so that your sleep quality improves and that you're getting that 7 to 8 hours consistently? I promise you, this is going to do so much more than any supplement out there in order to keep pushing the weights up and recover between your gym sessions. Another issue I had with my training back then was rest periods and rest days, and just not giving myself enough chance to recover. So training 6 days a week for most people is going to be overkill. You probably are not going to be able to recover enough unless you're keeping your volume low on those 6 sessions and you're able to keep progressing the weights over time. I would say for most people, start more on the 3 to 4 sessions a week side of things, and then from there, if you want to go up to 5, that's absolutely fine when you know you can recover. But doing 6 days a week straight out of the gate, you're probably just going to hinder your own progress when the weights start to stall. If you are training really hard on tough sets like split squats, deadlifts, chest press, all these big exercises, you are going to need longer to rest between sets. 2 to 3 minute rest periods will be ideal, rather than 1 minute rest periods that you might be doing at the moment. Similarly, if your sets and reps are super high and you've got a lot of volume, so if you're doing 4 sets of 12, 4 sets of 15, 4 sets of 20, maybe reducing that volume a little bit will allow you to recover a bit better. And in my experience, doing 3 hard sets on each exercise, or even 2, is more than enough. And it's not going to slow you down versus doing 4 sets where you're only resting 1 minute between sets, and then you end up just tiring yourself out. So do yourself a favor, don't add on junk volume for the sake of it. Just focus on quality working sets close to failure. Keep the reps moderate around the 6 to 12 range, 2 to 3 sets per exercise, with sufficient rest between sets, so 2 to 3 minute rest periods on your hard sets. So it's good having these strategies around the individual sets that you're doing, sleeping more, resting more between sets, but how do you actually put that together in a plan to fast track results in the gym? Because most people, when they're going to the gym, don't have a clue of what they're doing. Why would you, right? If you're new to it, why would you know what you're doing? When I went into the gym, I wouldn't have a clue how to use any of the machines. I was quite lost and a bit overwhelmed, and I didn't follow any structure for the first couple of years. So I was then finding plans online to follow, full body, push-pull legs, things like that. But initially in those first few months, you're kind of just winging your training and not following a set structure. You're tempted to keep changing out the exercises when you get impatient, when you're not making changes that you'd expect to see. So what I would recommend for you watching this is just follow some structure. It doesn't make a massive difference of what plan you follow. Full body 3 times a week, push-pull legs 3 times a week, but keep yourself accountable to getting more reps or more weight each time you go in. And now it may not be possible each time you go in, but you need to go in with the intention of applying progressive overload and really pushing yourself. Promise you, following any form of structure for 3 days a week is far better than training 6 days a week with no structure, where you're winging it and just changing your exercises every week. You have no idea if you're applying progressive overload or if you're building muscle if you don't have any consistency in your exercises. The last couple of things that held me back for a while was just not taking care of my diet and also not moderating my alcohol intake. Now the two are very interlinked, because obviously if you're going out and smashing 10 pints at the weekend, you're going to be hungover, and then you're going to make worse decisions with your diet. And at that point in time, it was important for me to go out and party at uni, and like most young people, to just enjoy yourself, right? But there comes a point where you're like, I'm making no progress in the gym. Am I just self-sabotaging every weekend? And by moderating your alcohol intake and saving it for big events, so maybe saving it for birthdays, anniversaries, big get-togethers, and not just going out every weekend for the sake of it, this is going to dramatically speed up your results in the gym, because alcohol decreases muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of building muscle, so it's going to ruin your muscle growth. It then makes it harder to stick to your diet, because if you're drinking regularly, you know, we've all been there. When you're hungover, you're going to make more rash decisions with your diet, cravings shoot up, your diet goes to shit, and then from there you're essentially eating rubbish and not eating enough protein, and then impairing your ability to build muscle. So alcohol is just massively net negative on your ability to get to the physique you want. Having said that, you've got to have a life, and if you enjoy going out and having a drink here and there, doing that now and again is not going to have a massive negative impact. And I teach my clients how to manage alcohol intake around their goals, so that they can still enjoy the social life and get those changes in shape. But if you're drinking multiple times a week and you're drinking lots of alcohol, that is definitely going to hold you back. To get ahead of 90% of people in the gym, it's going to be a case of following some structure in the gym for 3 days a week, rather than winging your training for 6 days a week and wasting time in the gym. Once you've got some structure in place, make sure you're having rest days when you need them, resting sufficiently between sets, moderating your alcohol intake and not going on a mad one every night like I was, although there is a time and a place to enjoy yourself, of course. If you are structuring your workouts, applying progressive overload, pushing yourself in the gym, sleeping more than Margaret Thatcher used to sleep, so actually not having terrible sleep and trying to get your 7-8 hours. If you do these basics over time, and with your diet have sufficient protein intake, which is going to be around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo of your body weight per day in grams of protein, if you do this, you are going to build muscle and you are going to progress far quicker than 90% of people, because those 90% of people were doing what I was doing at the start, which was winging your training, throwing a load of weight around, not really tracking anything, not taking care of the basics like your sleep, going out too much, partying, drinking, and just having a terrible quality of diet. So if you're able to have a bit more moderation and to follow a bit more structure and to really take care of yourself outside the gym, you'll get ahead of 90% of people. If you found this video useful, drop a video a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel and you want more simple fat loss and muscle building tips, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.